response, okay? So there's just asthma is a big one, and of course cancer, helping them reverse that. So these are some of the other medical uses for hypnosis. But the rich and famous people, celebrities, have been using hypnosis forever, okay? And they use it whenever they can. And why do they use it? Because they need to make changes. They like how it feels. It's kind of like going to get your hair washed at the hairdresser, right? You wash your hair every day, but it never feels as good as when the hairdresser does it, right? So it's kind of like they can afford to keep coming to therapists and hypnotists because it feels better when they put them in a relaxed state. So now I'd like to turn it over to questions you might have from some of my clients who have been through my services. And I asked them to come because I thought it would be important, rather than just hear me talk about hypnosis and the values of it and so forth, but to hear what actual people have experienced and how it feels and how they came to find out about hypnosis. So feel free to ask anybody any questions, or if anybody wants to stand up and talk. First of all, anybody have any questions?
Well, are there some very, very common issues that people come, like what type of things?
Well, that most people understand about or are aware of because of its more pronounced is stop smoking, lose weight, anxiety. I have clients that won't drive. They can't drive on the highway. They have panic attacks. They won't leave their house. You know, they have intense fear that has caused them to react in certain ways, and they'd like to change that. Or they have deep grief that they can't seem to get over. Or they just want to improve their golf game. Golfers love it. Or tennis pros, things like that. Or studying, public speaking, stuttering. There's many, many uses. Nail biting, a lot of common things.
So habits.
Habits.
People that
Yeah.
have habits.
Yeah. Anything that becomes too much of and they've lost control of. Addictions, too.
Just to ask your clients, about how many times did you go?
Excuse me, I went 6 times.
Okay.
And for me, it's going to be an ongoing process, and it's really changed my life. And how I ended up coming into hypnosis is back in 2014, I went through a very serious health crisis that resulted in 4 surgeries and pretty much spending the summer in the hospital. And then following that summer, I was sick, and so it took me a good year to physically get my strength back. And even though I was fine physically, it really affected me emotionally, and I felt very stuck and went to therapy. And that really didn't help. The therapist was wonderful, but I felt stuck, and I felt like I was just going through the motions of day-to-day life. And I wasn't fun anymore. I really wasn't laughing much, and I was a very happy, outgoing person prior to this. And I think what happened with me is that it was probably a couple months before I discovered hypnosis. My teenage daughter told me I've become a victim of my situation, and that was really a hard pill to swallow, because you want to be a good role model for your children and certainly not play the role of a victim. So when I went to see my surgeon, because I go every 6 months to see her, she asked me how I was feeling, and I said, I'm still stuck. I can't seem to get out of the fog and just get back my spark. And she said, you want to try hypnosis? And that was the last thing I expected my surgeon to suggest. I thought she was going to suggest Prozac or, a different therapist. And she said, no, you need to really try hypnosis. And she goes, I've heard it really helps a lot of people. And she said, you I have one more surgery coming up, and hopefully this will be the last one that I have to go through. And that day, I kid you not, after I left her office, it was probably 3 hours after leaving her office, I was at the Big Longmeadow, Big Y, in the cheese section. And I see this really pretty lady walk in with this jacket that said hypnosis. And I'm watching her, and I wasn't sure whether to approach her or not. And I'm like, well, what the heck, I might as well. And I said, excuse me, but do you do that? And she's like, oh, I didn't even realize I had my jacket on. And right there in the middle of the gourmet cheese section, we had this very intimate conversation, and I have never opened up to a stranger like that before in my life, but I really felt, call it divine intervention, I really think that that's what it was, because you don't just go from your surgeon's office and she's telling you to try hypnosis and then you run into a hypnotherapist in the cheese section. That's intervention. And I went for a consult and I thought, okay, and I'm a nurse too, so this is different for me. Everything's always been very medical, very scientifically based, and it just made sense. And I went for my six sessions, and there were 2 sessions in particular that even now, if I think about them, I can go back to that moment and I can feel how freeing and how good it felt. And any day that I might not be feeling that great, I think right away of those sessions and it just clears everything. And I feel lighter. Happier. I think I was always a happy person anyways, and I think also I was ready to change before going in. Like I knew I had to dig deep inside of me that this was something I was struggling with and really had to work on myself. I also had an unexpected result from this, is that my mom and our relationship has really improved. Like, I really enjoy my mom's company, which I didn't expect that to happen. I'm glad it did, but just things that improved that I didn't expect to improve. And so I plan on going back a few more sessions before my surgery just to get me into a better frame of mind and hopefully help me avoid complications and just going positive.
Are they spaced a certain, like every week or?
Well, my programs are, but everybody's are a little different. You know, I work with more programs, the different hypnotists. I'm not sure how everybody does it. Everybody has their own way of doing business. So that's why we offer free consultations, most of us, so you can see.
I was saying to Sandy just today that one of the things that I think with hypnosis is you have to feel comfortable with the person. I've been to 2 different hypnotists, and the first one I just didn't connect with. I couldn't get to that relaxed state, and it really never helped me. But, you know, so you just have to pick the right person that gets you to that point where you can just relax and accept the suggestion that they're giving you. And I think, to go back to your question of how many, I think it really depends on what is it you need, how you feel, how quickly it takes, how maybe, you know, it takes quickly or it takes longer, how often too, you know, and sometimes it's once a week, sometimes you go up to once a month, sometimes you need it more. But it's a very personal thing, because you need to have that ability to relax and be comfortable with the process. But once you do relax and accept the suggestions, they really do they become second nature. Something that for me, what I went to hypnosis for just didn't happen. And now those things that we talked about just become second nature. You don't think about them after a while, it just happens. So you change your perception. From used to be this way was automatic, now this way is automatic, and the way that you want it to be. And that's what it's really doing, is changing the way you're thinking about things and changing your automatic responses to whatever it is that you've gone to hypnosis for, once you get that comfort level with the person you're working with. That's how I approached it, how I thought about it, really made a difference.
Mm-hmm.
I got involved because I had just got into retirement, and I was a multitasking perfectionist in my work life, and I couldn't slow down. And when I started retirement, I knew that I had to do something. You know, I was well overweight, really overweight, on a lot of medication, and not happy, and not sure what I wanted to do with the rest of my life. And I started with a therapist and my doctor and several different programs, and they just weren't working. You know, I just wasn't slowing down, and I knew Sandy from a prior life, and
In this lifetime.
Not a past life though, right?
I had a different hat on.
but I used to work at Mass Mutual, and you know, I knew she was getting into this, and I said, well, let's have lunch. You know, it's been a long time, and I sat down with her and started crying, and I didn't realize how emotional I had become. And I was, like I said, I was trying to lose weight. I was going to, you know, all kinds of different programs. So she suggested, just come and talk, and I did. And after 3 or 4 sessions, I was a totally different person. I'm off all those medications. I lost 50 pounds. And, I'm enjoying life. I've gone back to Sandy now for the hypno coaching because I realized that there are some other things that I want to do in my life, and she's helped me identify what my goals are, what's really important in my life, and I'm tailoring my goals to what's really important. So I've not stuck anymore, and I'm enjoying life, and I've never been happier. So it's really been a great process for me to go through. It's probably saved my life, and it's probably saved my marriage too. But it's, you know, it's good for a lot of different reasons, so it's worth looking into.
Both my husband and I went to Sandy, and, you know, we were both struggling with different things, and we both went different times, different programs, but it helped both of us in different ways. Just, again, changing the way we approach things, changing the way we think about it. You know, that's really what it's all about, is retraining your brain and making it second nature, and almost effortlessly. You know, it's pleasant, it really is. It's very pleasant, it's very comfortable. You know, there's nothing unpleasant at all about it, and you don't feel like you're gonna go out, you know, clucking like a chicken.
No.
You know, you really don't. No, you're not gonna lose who you are. It just helps you retrain and be the person you wanna be.
Yeah, and I went for weight loss, and it is right. You know, I have lost some weight, and it does, it changes your whole, the problem with diets is it changes your behaviors, but not what lives up here. And so you need to change what lives up here before you can change your behaviors. And so, you know, it basically I've created a positive belief system, and so, you know, all of my thoughts are around that positive belief system. It is about visual imagery, it's about seeing yourself succeeding, you know, taking action to get your goals. But the sort of side benefits is it does affect pretty much all areas of your life. It's also, for me, helped to be, you know, for stress management. I'm more mentally aware. I worked with Sue in the front row, and I had a day last week that was like, I was just like a human dynamo. She's like, oh, what's going on? And it really has changed my life. It changes the way you think. If you think positively about how things are, then you maybe can't change your circumstances, but you can change how you think about them. And that makes a huge difference about your sort of inner peace in your frame of mind, I think.
One of the other things I think that it does, and I've experienced, is that if you have physical problems, physical pain, it can help you learn to redirect or you know, change the way you feel about that pain, maybe even have it go away, so that it doesn't bother you anymore. You know, it really does. You wonder, you know, how can something that, the way you're thinking about something change your pain? It does. It can, because sometimes that pain, a lot of times that pain is psychological, and it's manifesting itself physically in your body. And if you can change that psychological approach to your pain, sometimes it'll change that physical response that your body has. I've experienced that, and I think, you know, I think that's another real tremendous health benefit, and you're not taking a pill for it, so.
Right. Thanks. And this society has become very much pill pushers, right? So hypnosis is really, as the National Guild of Hypnotists is really trying to promote this globally, so that we don't become a society of overweight, anxiety-ridden, pill-popping people. And let's face it, we all get older, right? What happens when we get older? The doctors give us more medication. You end up, I give my mother, 89-year-old, a handful of pills every morning and night to take. Yikes. But you know what? She's lucky. She's only, most of them are vitamins. But still, they, you know, and kids are going on antidepressants, anti-anxiety pills. I mean, you watch the news, that'll give you anxiety, right? So we have to learn how to control those thoughts and our behaviors and understand what's going in and become better filters of what we want to expose ourselves to. That, therefore, then we get a hold of our own reality and we can make changes. So hypnosis is learning how to focus, right? In a relaxed state, in a trance-like state, and really learning how to get rid of negative, false, self-limiting behaviors and beliefs. Unfortunately, there aren't as many hypnotists out there as there are doctors. So, and we have to kind of prove our way. One of the unfortunate things is, and I do believe this will change, insurance doesn't cover it unless you have a flexible spending account or health savings account. So that unfortunately limits the scope of people that can take advantage of it. I love what I do, but I also expect that I need to get paid for it too, because there's so many people that need help. So getting in those situations, sometimes the more people that can understand about it to empower this, the better, because that's just going to open the gateway for people learning new behaviors, learning new treatment options. So there's other options. Alternative health care is big now. Wellness is big now. There's a reason for that. As we get older, we can't afford all those drugs, and neither can the government. You know, the drug companies are getting very wealthy from our maladaptive behaviors. I've had many clients come in who want to stop drinking or drink less. That seems to be a common one. We all go home, or not we all, but a lot of us go home and look forward to that cocktail as soon as we get in the door. That's become a pattern.